Good evening. This is CTV News for Monday, June 8th. I'm Patricia Valone.
And I'm Gina Barty. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, for the second time since he's been elected, County Executive Rushern Baker issues his second veto. The County Council, as part of its FY 2016 budget, recently approved a 1.5% increase for parks and planning. Baker said he had no inclination of this, and more importantly, feels that residents have not had their say. Baker also told reporters that if residents are going to be taxed, he wants the money to go to education. The bill now goes back to the council.
I would urge all citizens to call their council member and tell them that you cannot afford a property tax increase at this time.
An increase that was never discussed during any of the public meetings we've had over the last 2 months. I'm appalled that the council members who ran on improving education would quietly divert additional tax dollars away from our schools. Let me lay it out for you. The County Council raised your property taxes by 5.5 cents, of which 1.5 cents of that increase goes to park and planning. Not what should be our top priority, and that is our education system.
The council will meet tomorrow for a full session and decide whether to override Baker's veto. 6 votes are needed in order to override it.
Organizations calling for police accountability meeted in Baltimore this morning to discuss reform measures. The coalition spoke with the media before heading to Annapolis, where the first meeting of the Legislative Public Safety and Policing Work Group is taking place.
When you look at these folks, understand that the people who are standing here are willing to fight until the end, and therefore know that we will win in the end. Because this is simply about the most basic of realities we need to create for the children of the city. We cannot have a situation where our children are being raised to fear both the bad guys and the good guys.
We are going to focus on 3 different issues. Number 1, of course, police principles for the police reform, which is very, very important for us. Number 2 is about the economic injustice, to evaluate what is the model that we have in the city and how we can change that, and what kind of recommendations and how we are going to fight to make sure that we are going to change the economic model that is a model that is not helping and moving forward our communities. And number 2, the civic engagement. We know that the only way how we are going to make the changes in the city is that our families, our community be engaged.
There are also issues within the structural framework of how many days someone has to be able to raise a complaint. 90 days is totally insufficient for someone to be able to make a complaint, because many times if they are in the process of having their case adjudicated, their case isn't already completed. It is a great hindrance to someone to try to raise a charge against an officer that is often going to be called to testify against them in a trial that has not yet been resolved with the backlog of cases that we find in the district and circuit courts in the city.
The work group was established by the General Assembly after the death of Freddie Gray. It's designed to examine policing policies and recommend reforms.
The East Coast rapist responsible for more than a dozen sexual assaults in 4 states pleads guilty to 3 rapes in Prince George's. 41-year-old Aaron Thomas today acknowledged his guilt in 3 local attacks between 1997 to 2001. As part of his plea deal, he was sentenced to life in prison for the 3 assaults.
We really did spare these victims the agony that comes with testifying in these cases, reliving the violence over and over again. We hope that it will bring them peace and healing, as well as bring some satisfaction to this community that lived on edge during the time that Mr. Thomas was at large. So we're really glad that we are not only removing him from the streets, but he's bringing relief not only to those victims, but to this entire community.
According to authorities, Thomas is responsible for more than 17 attacks across Maryland, Virginia, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. He previously was sentenced to 3 life terms for rape he committed in Virginia. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Gina Barty.
And I'm Patricia Valone.